We're going to be covering the Big East way too early conference rankings in this video. We're going to be covering every team in the conference, who's going where. Transfer portal, of course, is completed. And of course, we're going to use KenPom in our rankings. So let's get right to it. Our number one team going into next season is UConn. UConn was the national runner-up. It was hard for us, pick another team, but this is very likely going to be closer than we think. UConn coming in with the seven KenPom ranked defense last season, 29th offensively. They lose a lot of players, including Terrace Reed Jr. Of course, Alex Karaban, who's won multiple titles, been to multiple championship games. With UConn, he was their last remaining player from the back-to-back, losing Jalen Stewart to SMU and a couple other key players, but they do return key talent, including Silas Demery Jr. Silas Demery Jr. was a big piece of, their run last season, and having him back is, absolutely key for that guard position. He's going into his senior year now, so they're gonna have him almost 6 assists a game. Next player they have coming back is Braylon Mullins, who chose not to go to the NBA. He was just a freshman last year, and we know he had that big game winner against Duke. So yeah, going into his sophomore year, he averaged 12 points a game his freshman year, shot almost 90% from the free throw line. And yeah, he just look for his game to keep improving here going into his sophomore year. And just having these two guys at the guard position, Silas Demery Jr. and Braylon Mullins is going to be vital for UConn. But they also went ahead and added Nicholas Kamenya from Duke. So again, Kamenya was only a freshman last year, didn't have a lot of production. He did play almost 20 minutes a game, but 6 points a game, and looks to up his stats on UConn in a big position needed with Alex Karaban leaving at 6'8". And also they added Najee Hines. He was averaging 2.2 blocks a game in 18 minutes of play. So just to put that into perspective and how, vital that was for Seton Hall. So Seton Hall was actually a top 15 defense. They finished 15th in terms of KenPom defense. So, adding him to UConn's rotation is going to be key, especially with Terrace Reed Jr. leaving. So, they definitely have guys to, fill in those big shoes that is left from last season. And yeah, we definitely have UConn in at number one here. But coming in at a very close two in our rankings is Villanova. Villanova with the 37th offense, 40th defense last year. Just a very solid team, but they were just like a swing away from being an elite to top tier team. They do return key talent, including Tyler Perkins. He was the Big East most improved player last year. And he is going in averaging almost 14 points last year. And they also add returning starter Matt Hodge, who put up 9 points a game for them last season. So a lot of continuity for Villanova. They did lose Caden Lewis and Bryce Lindsey to the transfer portal, but they went ahead and added Kwame Evans Jr. from Oregon. Kwame Evans Jr. was putting up 13 points a game, shooting 80% from the free throw stripe, is 6'10", so a lot of talent coming in with him. And they also went ahead and added Devin Royal from Ohio State. As we know, Ohio State was a really improved team last year. They won a March Madness game, so having that experience at 6'6" is going to be key for them. Um, and they also went ahead and added a sharpshooter from Cornell, Jake Figen, 17 points per game, 41% from three. He was an all Ivy League first team player. Jake Figen was. Just look at his stats here. So he's going to go into his senior year, I think it's fifth year, but it says senior year here. But yeah, he absolutely elite shooting. He not only is an elite three-point shooter, just from the field, he's shooting almost 55% from the field. So just incredible efficiency for Villanova. So we do look for Villanova to have, just an absolutely honestly, they should have an excellent offense. I don't see why they wouldn't improve into that top 25 range at least. So it really is Villanova at the very top with UConn, and then we're going to cover the other teams, but look for Villanova to be a very improved team, building onto last year where they were very competitive at the top of the Big East. They also went ahead and added Elijah Crawford, a transfer guard out of UIC, 14 points per game, 5 assists. So plenty of guard talent for Villanova, and no doubt they should be in the upper tier here. Next team we have at three is St. John's. They were the 11th defense last year, 34th offense. And again, this is so close at the top, but they went ahead and added Baylor transfer Tondu Yusufu, who put up almost 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. And he was doing all this as a freshman. So just incredible numbers from him. And again, 2 steals a game, just defensively, offensively, full package right here for St. John's. So excellent, excellent pickup for St. John's with him. And they also went ahead and added Donnie Freeman from Syracuse. So 16 and a half point a game scorer, almost 50% from the field, 6'9" forward, big man. So, just a great 1-2 right there for them. And St. John's, they did lose a lot going from last year, losing Zuby Ejiofor, Dylan Mitchell, Bryce Hopkins, Ozziah Sellers. So, this is a complete, a haul for St. John's. It's going to be a very new team going into next year. So it is a big question mark, but, plenty of talent here to, carry that defense still. And, offensively, they look to improve from that 34th range. Yeah, next team we have, and in our honest opinion, this is the most improved team, very likely in the Big East, is Providence. Providence was 170th defensively last year, and they were 32nd offensively, and they did lose Stephon Vox to Illinois, so that's a big, big loss, losing him. But they did, of course, have a new coach in Bryce Hodgson, and they are going to have a completely new roster, starting with Devin Vanterpool coming from FAU. Devin Vanterpool was actually a 16 point per game scorer and 6 rebounds, so a lot of production there from that guard position, not only scoring wise, but rebounding. And this is just one player, right? They also went ahead and added the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year in Miles Bird, 10 points a game as well, 5 rebounds. So, that alone is going to very, very likely help that just terrible defense for Providence last year. But they also went ahead and added an NBA G League player in Dink Pate from the Westchester Knicks. So this is a first that I've seen, but Dink Pate put up 17 points per game for the Westchester Knicks. So, getting that pro experience on top of the players we just mentioned is huge. Um, yeah, and on top of that, they also added Malik Mack from Georgetown. Malik Mack was a player who didn't shoot that well from the field at all, 38% from the field, 29% from deep, but he is a scoring guard, 13 points per game, so he definitely can complement all the other, guard talent over there, 81% free throw shooter, so you know, absolutely a new Providence team, and they are our biggest jump this season. Very, very likely to be the most improved team in the Big East. Keep an eye on Providence. But yeah, these 4 teams definitely have, just so much talent at the top. Next team we have is Creighton. Creighton, kind of a down year for them. Usually Creighton is winning March Madness games. They had a down year last year, 73rd offensively and 100th defensively. So nowhere near the Creighton teams that we're used to seeing, but they went ahead and added scoring guard BJ Davis to their lineup here. BJ Davis coming in from San Diego State. We know San Diego State is usually a great defensive team. So, 10 points a game from him coming in. Not honestly a pretty solid 3-point shooting range numbers here, 38%, 43% from the field. He, coming in from San Diego State, they also added Wes Ennis, who's an explosive scorer. This is a big, big add for Creighton, and he does look to improve this team offensively, no doubt. 16 points per game. For a South Florida team that was in March Madness last year, they were very competitive against Louisville in that first round. Um, yeah, just plenty of talent coming in for Creighton for them to improve for last year. But again, this is the Big East, and this Big East, the top 4 teams that we listed just are so talented. So, we have them kind of in the middle of the pack, fighting to be in the upper tier here. Next team we have is Xavier. Xavier, they went ahead and added a sharpshooter in Ruben Dominguez, 13 points per game. Um, and let's just look at his stats here. Ruben Dominguez coming in from Texas A&M. He's a 40% three-point shooter, so making almost two and a half threes a game, 87% from the free throw stripe, so just an absolute shooter that they're adding here. Um, they also went ahead and added Chance Westry, 15 and a half points per game, 5.5 assists, And also LSU transfer Mike Nwoko, 13 points per game, 6 rebounds as a big. So, Xavier, they were terrible defensively last year at 172. So that is not going to do it in the Big East. And again, this is also an Xavier team who are used to seeing play much better, right? So yeah, Xavier here at 6. Next team we have is Marquette, and they went ahead and added Sanandra Fru from Louisville. Louisville had a great offense last year, and he was a part of that. He shot 75% from the field. Insane number right there. 9 points per game, 6 rebounds. So a good add right there for them. And they also went ahead and added Nolan Minisell, 20 point per game scorer, 50% from the field for St. Thomas. Last season, not great from three at 30%, but just a proven scorer, and he was the Summit League Player of the Year. So they went ahead and added an elite scoring guard. And again, this is a Marquette team that never, they don't really use the transfer portal. They didn't last year, and they really suffered. And yeah, Marquette head coach Shaka Smart ended a 4-year streak of ignoring the transfer portal by signing two new players that we just mentioned. After, usually relying on high school recruitment and internal player development. Again, we saw them struggle last year, and it was a Marquette team that we are not used to seeing. They finished at a place that we're not used to seeing last year in the Big East. So, look for Marquette to improve. Being outside the top 100 is just not used to, that's not what you're used to in seeing Marquette. Outside the top 50 defensively as well. So, Marquette we have here at 7. Next team we have is Butler. Butler went ahead and added Ole Miss transfer Eduardo Klafke. 4 points per game, but he is a great 3-point shooter, over 40% from three. Samus Calderon and Purdue Fort Wayne transferred Jalen Jackson, almost 20 points per game, 4 rebounds, and almost 50% from the field. So again, this Butler team defensively, they were not great at all, outside the top 100 and almost outside the top 75 KenPom offense. Again, that's why we have them at 8. Next team we have is Seton Hall. This team was a great defense, an elite defense at 15th, but they were 143rd offensively. That was the big issue for them. They went ahead and added Radford transfer Dell Jones, who put up 70 points per game. All Big South second team, and also Simeon Wilcher from Texas. Um, the thing about Radford is, okay, so yeah, Dell Jones averaged 17 points per game, but if we just look at Radford and their KenPom numbers, they were 223rd in terms of KenPom offense and 273rd in terms of KenPom defense. So, you can just make your judgment based on that, but that is a player coming in from a team with those types of numbers. Simeon Wilcher, Texas was a great offense last year, but he wasn't a huge part of it. So yeah, they did lose a lot of players, right? Bud Clark and other players, Najee Hines, right? So Seton Hall we have here at 9. Georgetown we have here at 10. They added Kentucky transfer Jalen Lowe, a high level point guard, and also Kansas transfer El Marco Jackson. We have them here at 10. They were 84th in terms of KenPom offense, 72nd in terms of KenPom defense. And the final team we have here is a team that, was outside the top 200 in terms of KenPom offense. Any team that's outside the top 200 KenPom offense in the Big East, it's very, very likely they're going to be at the very bottom of the conference, which we have here in DePaul. Even though they were 32nd defensively, that 208 number in terms of KenPom offense is just telling in this conference. So that wraps it up for this conference. And in the Big East picture, honestly, if we kind of look at, our favorites, I would definitely say the top four here. With Providence being the last team, Providence had a huge haul. To go from being the 170th KenPom ranked defense to now competing for the top of the Big East, which we think they can do. Just look at their guard haul, right? Like again, you can go on collegebasketball.info to see all this, but yeah, just tremendous talent coming in for Providence, and their new coach, Brian Hodgson. St. John's as well. Of course, St. John's is St. John's. They're going to be at the top of the conference. They have tremendous talent coming in. And Villanova as well. Of course, we know UConn. UConn is UConn, but look for Villanova as well to compete for that very top. A lot of returning talent and a lot of transfer talent for them. But yeah, that wraps it up for our Big East way too early conference rankings. If you guys like this video, subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And of course, you can go to collegebasketball.info and see all these articles. We have other conferences as well if you guys want to check it out. Leave a comment on there as well. It all helps. Till the next one, y'all. Peace.